The purpose of this tutorial is to make you aware of some of the features in PowerPoint that you can take advantage of to create your own unit video. Hopefully you're not dreading the thought of creating your own video. It's actually quite fun if you're willing to experiment a bit with some of the features of PowerPoint. If you've previously created a PowerPoint presentation, then you'll find that this process is not much different to begin with. By adding a few new skills, you will be an accomplished video author in no time. The objectives for this tutorial are aimed at helping you produce a high-quality video for your unit. We will start by providing an overview of the video requirements. You will also learn some animation techniques. You'll learn how to create transitions between slides. You'll be able to insert a voiceover with video, set up timing for each of the slides, and lastly, to save your project as a video file that can be uploaded to YouTube. There's a lot to learn, but hopefully you will find it's really quite simple. The video requirements listed here are those essential elements that you will include in your unit video. We aren't going to go into detail now, but we'll save that for the video workshop. They are included here to create an awareness of these requirements and get you to start thinking about what you will need to include in your video. In general, your videos will include unit information such as the hook, the big idea, the essential question, example guiding questions, and more. The left-hand table shows the required unit information, while the right-hand table shows the titling elements such as the required National Science Foundation statement and logos, school information, your name, subject, and grade, as well as credits to those who have made the video possible. If you include these elements, your video will help you paint a complete picture of what your unit is about. These requirements will be covered in more detail during the video workshop. In order to illustrate some of the features of PowerPoint, a video produced by Lakisha Edmondson will be used. Lakisha, a member of Cohort 3, teaches algebra at Withrow High School, and though it's not apparent from the video, Lakisha was a relative novice to video production prior to last summer's video workshop. You should pause the video now and navigate to Lakisha's wiki page using the wiki link noted here. When you reach her page, click on the video to play it. As you watch, note some of the animation and slide transitions that Lakisha uses. Once you've finished watching the video, download the PowerPoint presentation using the second link noted on the slide. When you navigate to this Google Drive document, click on the download arrow to download it to your computer. You can use this PowerPoint document as a reference as you create your own video. Next, resume the tutorial to see how Lakisha implemented the animation and transition techniques. 4 video effects will be illustrated in the remainder of this tutorial, along with a number of video basics. Each of these effects and video basics illustrate ways to bring your video to life. As you watch this tutorial, you can begin creating your own PowerPoint presentation. Animate your own slides as you go. Pause the tutorial now and open up a blank PowerPoint presentation. Once you've done that, resume this tutorial and begin creating your own video. We're going to be looking at 3 tabs in this video: the Transitions tab, the Animations tab, and the Slideshow tab. The Transitions tab, shown here, is used to control the transition from one slide to the next. If you don't use transitions, your resulting video will appear jerky and abrupt. By using transitions, you will flow seamlessly from one slide to the next. To apply the transition, just click on the drop down and pick one of the effects. You can investigate this a little bit more on your own. The Animations tab is used to apply animation effects to objects and text that you've added to your screen. You can control the animation timing and the order in which the objects appear on the screen. So I'm giving you a little demonstration here. If I want to insert a text box, I would click on Insert, Shapes. Here's the text box. I'm going to add the text box. This is some text, and I want to animate this. So I would click on it, the edge of the box, click on Animations, and I will use the shape animation. I will change this to with previous so that as soon as this slide comes up, that text will come on the screen. Let's also add a shape of some sort. I'm going to add a box, and this is some more text. And if I'd like to animate this box, I'll go back to animations, and I've got a bunch of these. I'll use the swivel option. And again, we want to have this come in a certain order. I could have it enter the screen the same time the text box does, or I could do it after. We'll select after. I can control the duration of how long it takes to enter. We'll just leave that at 2. Okay, you'll have to decide that on your own video as to how long those things should be. You could delay it a little bit after that one. But let's take a look at it. So here it is. There's the transition. There's the introduction of the text, and there's the animation of the box. The last tab we want to look at is the slideshow. The slideshow tab contains the record slideshow option, which is used to add a voiceover to the slide. And the way you would do that is you would select record slideshow and then start recording from current slide, start recording. And the way that works is that once you tell it to start recording, it will record your voice, and when you hit the escape key, it will then save your voice and save that soundtrack on your slide. So with that, let's go ahead and start looking at Lakisha's video and some of the effects that she used. This is scene 1 of Lakisha's video. It's a basic slide that has a graphic image that she inserted. She also inserted some text inside of a text box, and the animation on this particular text box happens to be a split animation with a 2.5 second duration. There's also, if you look in the animation pane, there's a second animation here that actually belongs to the music. Now we're not going to discuss inserting music in this video. Or in this tutorial. We'll wait until the workshop to discuss that, because we'll use Movie Maker to insert any kind of audio tracks like that. From a transition standpoint, the transition to this slide is a shape transition, and you'll notice when we play it here in just a second what that looks like. So let's take a look. So there's the shape transition, the animation of the text, the introduction of the music, and there you have it. Fairly simple. You might try to create an introductory slide for your own video and see if you can apply some of the things that Lakisha has done here. Before we continue on with Lakisha's video, what I'd like to do is show you some more basics. In this case, we're going to look at animating a number of boxes. What I'd like to do is for each of these 4 boxes to appear on the screen in a given order. Box 1 first, box 2 second, and so on. So in order to do that, you select the Animations tab, click on the first item that you'd like to appear on the screen, and provide a animation effect. In this case, I'll use shape. And just to add a little variety here, we'll use different shapes. So box 2, I'll use wipe. Box 3, I'll use split, and box 4, I'll use float in. So you get to see 4 different effects. Now, one of the things that's extremely useful is the animation pane. And what the animation pane shows you is the animations that you've applied on this particular slide. But what I'd like to change is, notice here we have these little mouse icons, which means that whenever you click the mouse, the box will enter the screen, but we don't want that. We want those to occur automatically. So since I've got one of these selected, I'm going to hold my shift key down and click on the top one to select all of them. And then what I'm going to do is change the start to after previous, so they'll come in sequential order. So with that done, let's give it a look. Box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4. Now box 3 came in just a little bit too quick for my liking, or it finished a little quick, and the reason for that is the duration was only a half second. So let's make that, let's make it 2 seconds and see what the effect that has. So there you have it. Now you can use this to introduce your guiding questions, your essential question, your challenge, things like that by just typing text in a box and have it appear on the screen. So give it a try, see what you think. Now let's take a look at Lakisha's credentials slide. The primary features you have here on this slide are a text box, and you've got two objects, a picture of Lakisha and also the logo of the Cincinnati Public Schools. What we'll do is, in order to look at these, we'll look at first the transition. In this case, she used an uncover transition to bring the slide onto the screen. In the animation section for the text box, in fact, we'll open up the animation pane here, she used a fly-in animation, and the fly-in animation, the settings here, duration of 1.75 seconds, no delay. For the picture, she used a shape animation, and the duration there is set at 2.0. It's set to go after previous, which means it'll come after the text is put onto the screen. And lastly, she uses brings the Cincinnati Public Schools logo on with a shape animation. This is set at 2.75 second duration. So let's take a look at it, see how this looks. So here's the animation of the text. There's the picture. And there's the Cincinnati Public Schools. This slide makes use of a couple features that we haven't seen yet. The first feature is the use of emphasis animations. In this particular case, we have two. One is an underlining of the text, and the other is a pulsing of this figure over here. The other effect is the animation of voice, or addition of voice. Lakisha explains the guiding questions on this slide. So let's take a look at how these are implemented. So what I'm going to do is just highlight this first row of text here. And you'll see, if you look in the animation tab, you'll see that there's an underline emphasis. So if you look here in the list, you've got an entrance effect, which you've seen already. Emphasis effects, this is an underline emphasis effect. And so each one of these lines of text has this emphasis effect in it, and you treat those just like you would an entrance effect. The question mark circle here is a pulse emphasis, so you can see that under the emphasis there. Okay, and lastly, the little microphone, or not microphone, the little speaker here basically is a voiceover that Lakisha did to show to talk about these guiding questions. So let's have a listen.
How do you start a business?
Here's the underlining.
How much money is needed to start and operate a business? What math content is involved in the daily running of a business? What makes a business successful?
So you see that the timing of the underlining was timed with her voice. And how did she do that? Well, she did that by adjusting the timing over here. The delay time dictated when that appeared, and so she adjusted it until she got it to coincide with her voice. So that's a little bit more difficult to do, but it's very effective in that as she spoke, the underlining occurred. On the next slide, we're going to talk about how to add a voiceover so that we can explain how to do that. So now let's talk about voiceover. Voiceover is simply a way of adding your voice to a slide to explain something. It's relatively simple to do. What I've done is I've set up the slide first. I've typed my text on it. I've animated the text so that every time I click my left mouse button, a new line of text will be added to the screen. So we're ready to do the voiceover. Click on the slideshow tab and then click on record slideshow. and then start recording from current slide. Leave these two boxes checked, and when you're ready to go, start recording. Now, one of the things that is very helpful is if you've written a script ahead of time so that you can read it. If you do that, it's not going to be nearly as hard to create the voiceover. So that's just a word of advice. So let's click Start Recording. And when we start recording, it goes into PowerPoint goes into slideshow mode, and basically it's waiting for me to click my left mouse button. So when I do that, it introduces that first line of text to the slide, and I talk about that first line of text, which is voiceovers are simply a way of adding an explanation to the slide. When you add your voice to the slide, it's a powerful way to emphasize your message. Your voice and text should be synchronized to make it look more professional. And lastly, don't read every word on the slide like I just did, because that the viewer can read those words. You don't have to tell them what they are. Use your own words to describe those. So there you have it. Our voiceover is done. When you're done with your voiceover, just click the escape button and it will go back out of slideshow mode. And notice now in the lower right hand corner you have this thing that looks like a speaker, and that's your voiceover. Now you can actually format that voiceover. You've also got it here in your animation pane. You can do some formatting with it. In this particular case, what we're looking for, you could start it on click or automatically. So what we want is the automatic. And if you wanted it to play across multiple slides, you could, and so on. You can adjust the volume, etc. So give it a try. Build one of your own slides. Maybe you want to build a guiding questions slide. Try a voiceover with your guiding questions. Good luck. In this effect, we're going to look at inserting a video inside of your video. To do that, you're going to have to grab a digital camera and video your students, yourself, could be a testimonial, student work, what have you. So, you'll need a digital camera to do that. Once you've recorded the video, one of the ways to get that video into your slide or onto your slide is go to the Insert tab and click on Video on my PC, and then you'd browse to wherever it is you stored your video and then upload it onto your slide. I'll assume you know how to get the video onto your PC, so we won't cover that here. The next thing you want to do is do some formatting. In this particular case, Lakisha has chosen an oval call out here, but the way you format that is by selecting it, clicking on Format, and then go to Video Shape, and you can pick any number of video shapes here. Lakisha happened to use this oval call out here for hers. Another thing you'll want to look at is the transition. There's a curtains transition at the beginning of this slide. You also want to look at the playback options. Select automatically so it starts when the slide starts. You might do some trimming at the beginning or end of your video. You can do fade ins, fade outs, and so on. The fade ins basically allow the video to start more softly, kind of gradually brings it up, and then the fade out is the same, it fades out softly. So let's take a look. Let's see what this video looks like. There's the curtains transition.
The unit was a hit. The students really enjoyed the idea of creating their own company. They scored higher on the post-test than they did on the pre-test, so there was definitely student growth, which is ultimately the goal.
That is a very powerful way to get across the message about your unit. So don't be afraid to get on camera, get your students on camera to help tell your story. The last topic we're going to cover is slide transition timing. In this particular case, slide transition timing has to do with how long a slide dwells on the screen. You want to control that so that your viewer has enough time to read what's on the slide or absorb at least the material that you're presenting. The way you control it click on the Transitions tab and adjust the time over here to the right. Make sure the after box is checked. Now, if you put 7 here, what that means is that it'll advance after 7 seconds. Well, that's not entirely true, because you've applied some animation to your slide. It'll take into account the animation time as well as this time to determine when that slide advances. So if you need the slide to dwell longer, you'll want to increase this time. If you want it to dwell for a shorter period of time, you'll want to reduce that time. You also want to check to make sure on the slideshow tab that use timings is checked. This will force it to take into account those times that you've adjusted. So there you are. Make sure that you play with this. If you're not satisfied with the length of time that a slide dwells, you can adjust the timing. Once you've created your PowerPoint video, you're ready to save it as an MPEG-4 file. MPEG-4 is a common video format. So to do that, click on File, Save As, click Browse, and browse to the folder you want to save it in. Change the Save As type from PowerPoint Presentation to MPEG-4 video, and then go ahead and click Save. When it starts saving, you'll see a note at the bottom of the screen here. You'll also begin to see a bar graph begin to form here that shows you the progress. And it takes a while because there's a lot of information in these videos. Once you're done saving it, you can go ahead and open it up and play it just like you would any video file. Congratulations, you've made it to the end of the video. As always, we have a number of references you might use to further enhance your video skills. Animations and Transitions is a great video to enhance your animation skills as well as your ability to create meaningful transitions between slides. This reference is an 8.5-minute video by SkillPath Seminars. The second reference is a 4-minute video by gcflearningfree.org on the subject of applying transitions. Reference 3 is a 2.5-minute tutorial on voiceovers by TeachUComp. Reference 4 is Lakisha's video, and reference 5 is the PowerPoint presentation that was built to create the video. So prior to the first video workshop, you should work on the following. First, start creating your PowerPoint presentation. Create slides for the hook, big idea, essential question, challenge, and guiding questions. Include a voiceover on the guiding questions slide. Include at least one animation on a slide of your choosing, and add transitions between all of your slides.